welcome back everybody to another episode of the Nonprofit Show. I'm really excited. I have one of my best buddies here, Marty Bird, Director of Marketing for JMT Consulting. Hey, Marty, thanks
It's
for
so
joining me.
it is so good to see you, Julia. I know that we work closely together, and it's just natural that we would be together here on your show. So thank you for having me.
Well, I just love your energy. I love working with you. And I asked a personal favor of you to rope you into an episode of the Nonprofit Show talking about nonprofit conference marketing and just everything, because you all have done such a beautiful job figuring this out. And, we were talking, Marty, offline that so many organizations are saying, yeah, I mean, we're post COVID, let's get back into meeting together, but doing it in a conference style where we can learn and share ideas. So I thought, shoot, who better to talk to about this than you? And so I appreciate you coming on the Nonprofit Show to kind of give us some of those secrets and background information, because you, like I said, you all have done it so well. So we're going to dig into this.
Happy to do it. As you know, JMT Consulting has been around for 30 plus years, and we've been doing this conference called Innovate for 16 years with a couple years break during the pandemic. But we're back now, stronger than ever, getting nonprofit finance professionals together for 2.5 days of learning and camaraderie, networking, meeting with sponsors. So it's a great period of time to get our nonprofit finance people together to learn.
Well, you do it so beautifully, and I think you're not the usual suspects, right, for putting together something like this. And so I think this is going to just be an amazing conversation. You know what also is amazing are our amazing presenting sponsors. They include Bloomerang, American Nonprofit Academy, Staffing Boutique, Your Part-Time Controller, Third Sector Company, of course, our friends over at JMT Consulting, and Fundraisers Friday. I'm Julia C. Patrick, CEO of the American Nonprofit Academy, and I have this amazing group of co-hosts that come from all over the country. They do all different things in the nonprofit sector, and I'm just delighted that they are on this journey with us. But I'm flying solo today with Marty Bird, Director of Marketing, JMT Consulting. So Innovate is fascinating because you've been doing this, what did you say, 16 years?
Yes, this is our 16th annual conference with a short break during Innovate. And we're back stronger than ever this year in Nashville, Tennessee, May 5th to 7th.
Wow. And so when you started this this conference, and I don't think you were with JMT at the time, but do you have a sense of how it has changed or morphed over the time? Because 16 years ago, digital financial accounting services looked pretty different than they do now, right? So, I mean, it's interesting to me that you could have an arc of still knowing you want to get together, but then the situation has changed.
It sure has. And as you might imagine, JMT Consulting has changed along with the times. We were based in the Northeast in the New York area. And 16 years ago, when we started Innovate, that was a conference to celebrate our clients. We often went on site to the client's business to install software, to consult with them, to consult with the finance professionals. And so the relationships that we built with our clients were very personal. And so to celebrate those relationships, we held an annual conference called Innovate. And now we've evolved just like technology has, just like nonprofit finance professionals have. Software has evolved. The things that we want to talk about have evolved. JMT has moved to Nashville, Tennessee. That's now our home base. But we still want to bring people together to learn and to honor these relationships that we've had for a long time. And so we put together an annual conference, and we bring in about 300 people and have 2.5 days of programming over that time.
Wow, really interesting. It's a fascinating thing to think about how, and this is just my opinion, and I'd love to get your feedback on this, and that is that I feel like technology is changing so ding dang quickly that it makes an event like yours even more important, because things are changing so fast. And if you can be around people that are doing your type of work, you're going to save yourself a lot of time and energy kind of hearing what everybody else is experiencing, right?
That's right. The networking opportunities are endless, and finance professionals that work for nonprofits, they have their unique set of challenges. And
Yeah.
when they're able to come in and talk to us and their peers, they can sit in workshops and discuss personally with us or with their peers. They don't feel so alone in their problems that they might have with their finance and their accounting. Because they have JMT and they have their colleagues that attend this event to help them.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Well, let's talk about what is in it for you. Let's say that you are, in this space and you're thinking, oh yeah, we should cull all these people together and put on a show, as they say. What does it do to your business? Because you're working with people, I would imagine, that are already doing business with you, right? You're not going to
Yeah.
necessarily cultivate new business relationships.
We do have that goal of cultivating new business relationships, but as you said, our primary goal is to bring our clients together, develop these relationships, develop and establish JMT Consulting as a leader. And our mission is to help other nonprofit organizations develop their mission. So when we're able to have Innovate and bring these people together, it just really establishes JMT as an authority in the finance arena and in the consulting arena. So that really helps us to be seen as much more of a consultative party that is able to help a finance team grow.
Yeah. I love that it puts you forth as a thought leader. I
Yes.
think that's brilliant. I think that's like a really strong thing to look at. And I think I think a lot of organizations could understand that and say, yeah, how do we want to lead within our sector? And I love that. Let's move on and talk about the value of establishing partnerships and promotions. And I guess the reason why I'm asking this question, Marty, is because people are still a little reticent to get back in and lean in full force and full
Yeah.
throttle with conferences. Travel is notoriously hard and now expensive. It's always expensive, but it just seems like there are no deals when it comes to traveling. So how do you kind of put all these things together and really get people to say, yeah, we're going to partner with you to pursue this?
Well, Julia, we have worked really hard the past couple of years to reinvigorate our partnership program at JMT Consulting. And what I mean by partnerships, these are associations, membership associations that can help us market, not only Innovate, but market our in-person lunch and learns, market our webinars, and we can be included in their newsletters. These are organizations like Nonprofit New York, or the Nonprofit Resource Hub, or the network. It's the network of Jewish service agencies, otherwise known as the network. These are very important membership organizations to JMT, and they are very, very helpful, including our events on their calendar, within their newsletter. And then that also helps us be seen as a thought leader when we have regular communication with their members. They see JMT Consulting up front and center. They look forward to seeing our programming, and hopefully, that leads them to register for Innovate.
So you're not just doing this with the conference in mind. It seems to me like your strategy goes much further to all manner of things that you're doing. Is that fair to say?
That's exactly right. So when we have ongoing relationships with these associations, it helps us in many areas, networking. So when they have a meeting with their membership, we'll attend one of those meetings, and that enables us to provide value to their membership in new ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
Well, and it's an interesting thing, because I would imagine, I mean, being that you've been doing this conference for 16 years,
Right.
you've got to have a deeper thought than just 2 days. It's got to be, you're doing all this work, and we're going to get into that in just a minute, but it has to have something that there's an arc that covers you through more than just 2 days out of the year.
Well, we're bringing sponsors together with our audience. We're bringing speakers together with our audience. We're bringing all kinds of people together where they can not only sit in a same session, but they have breaks, they have after hours, they have breakfast and lunch where they can get together and talk. And this is really encouraged. This relationship building is one of the main benefits of getting together in person, and people are so hungry for it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a great description. Well, let's talk about that a little bit deeper. And how have you all identified sponsors that support the nonprofit sector? Because you're in a very specific area, nonprofit finance, that entails technology, people, process, products. How do you figure out who's going to be a good fit?
Well, when we opened up our sponsorship availabilities for Innovate this year, it was clear that we had developed something that sponsors wanted to be a part of.
Okay.
So last year and this year, we did a very intentional job of getting sponsors that had a presence in the nonprofit industry, right?
Mhm.
They had to have a product or a service that was previously vetted by JMT Consulting. We may have an established sponsor relationship with one of our sponsor partners, and they come to us and they want to sponsor Innovate. Of course, sponsorship is one of the main ways we are able to fund Innovate, but they must have a product and or a service that meets the needs of nonprofits. And we are very strong about vetting sponsors that meet those goals. Internally, we have a meeting prior to descending upon Innovate, so we can have a good conversation with our clients when we introduce them to our sponsors. That's something unique about JMT as well. We think hard about what clients would match up well with what sponsors. And so our account management team really does their homework and is able to walk a client who has specific needs from a certain sponsor and make an introduction. That makes it so much more valuable for our sponsors. Instead of just having a booth and waiting for people to walk by, they are introduced to our clients who have a need for their product or service.
Okay, you just spilled the tea, because now, like, you hair on fire moment. I was at your Boston event last year,
Yes.
and I was setting up because we were going to do a live remote, and you had some team members that came over who I didn't know, introduced themselves, and they're like, "I want you to meet da 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 da," and and I was like, "Wow, I was so impressed," But now I get what you were doing. It was very organic, but
We
yeah,
hear from our
wow.
sponsors. Yeah, I know. We hear from our sponsors that this is very rare. It's a unique event where attendees of this conference actually come up and speak to the sponsors. Sometimes you're at a conference and people put on their blinders and they don't want to talk to sponsors. Not so at Innovate. So our sponsors get a great amount of value from attending.
Oh my God, that is fascinating. Okay, I'm thrilled that you said that, because literally it changed the trajectory of how I viewed my time there. It really did. I mean, it really made me feel valued, um, think that I was, special, and they called me out for, wanting to make these introductions. And Marty, if you think about fundraising, this is something we do in the fundraising aspect of relationships with nonprofits. When we have events, we're always going back to our boards and saying, okay, when XYZ patron comes in, board member, ABC, make sure you meet them and introduce them. I mean, I love that you all do this. It's fascinating.
And it's a small number. This is a boutique event. There's 15 sponsors. And, we do have different levels of sponsorship that receive different levels of benefits.
Mhm.
But being there and being able to talk to our clients and potential clients, they get the same benefit of networking as everyone else does. So they're able to develop relationships that could lead to business.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, that's fascinating. Well, I love that you brought that up because I could literally that light bulb went off in my head. Let's talk about the nitty gritty of driving event registration and the timing of the process. I mentioned to you in the green room that talking with nonprofit leaders, they're really stressed out about how close to the event time people are responding. There's still this sense of like, oh, another pandemic could flare up, or oh, I don't know how things are going to be, and your event, it requires travel and it requires management of moving to work in another place, leaving your home base. I mean, all of these things. What are you seeing about getting these commitments from your attendees?
Sure. Well, thanks for that question, Julia. As we know, there's a lot of uncertainty in the nonprofit sector right now. And so, if nonprofit organizations are affected by not knowing if their grant is going to be funded for next year or just certain levels of uncertainty, I can certainly see where attending a conference might not be the top priority. We've developed these very, very strong relationships with our clients, and we've changed our messaging to not just talk about what the benefits of attending the conference are from a practical standpoint, but now parts of the agenda are changed to be more discussion oriented, to talk through what problems that nonprofits are seeing. So we want to make sure that they see value in traveling, attending, being with like-minded individuals in the nonprofit industry. And we think that really hits home with our audience, and we'll see those attendance numbers and we'll meet our goals. As I was talking to you in the green room, like you said, we normally open registration 6 or 7 months ahead of the event, and
Okay.
we see a big surge in registrations right away. People are able to plan ahead, get the budget approval, and put it on their calendars. But then, oftentimes there's this anxiety-inducing lull where we don't have a lot of registrations coming in. And I'm telling you, that's where, as a marketer, we
Yeah.
really have to start thinking and being creative about how we secure additional registrations.
I thought it was fascinating what you just said about being flexible enough to change your content direction, so that you're not just delivering the same old messages, and to be thoughtful about what somebody registers 6 months out. Certainly, things have changed over that 6 month trajectory. What they're going to come to Innovate to think about or to learn about is probably a lot different than they ever thought that they would have to be tackling.
That's right. And to put a commercial for you, Julia is leading a
Mhm.
panel discussion at the end of day one, and
Mhm.
she's going to have some panelists and she's going to ask some tough questions. Our audience is going to benefit from Julia's expertise and the expertise of our panelists to see what's going on in the nonprofit industry right now and really just talk it out, make
Yeah.
people feel good. And the togetherness is also beneficial to understand that you're not the only nonprofit
Yeah.
going through some of the commonalities that nonprofits are feeling right now.
Yeah, I appreciate that shout out. Thank you very much. I love the concept of a panel discussion because you get people voices from all over doing different things, and yet there's a link to how they see the the market situation, and so that'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, between now and when Innovate comes, I can only imagine the trajectory of change that's going to occur. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, as we speak today, and what is going to be of import then, I mean, I think probably will change, and so that's kind of an interesting thing for anybody thinking about planning an event, such as a sector event, thought leadership event. You have to be flexible. I think you've got to really, understand that there are things that change. And I think, to Marty, the value to your attendees if you can be current and you can reflect those quick changes, it's going to be that much more valuable.
I believe that's exactly right. And so the change in programming that we're under right now is to ensure that on our leadership track, those speakers, we've asked them to bring some relevant, timely examples and be prepared to answer questions and have a more open discussion. So I think that'll add value to our attendees and help with our marketing to get this last set of registrations to meet our goals for attendance.
Interesting. Well, let's get into a little bit more of that detail. What is the size of the team that you have? And that's like internal and contracted to manage this conference. Again, 16 years you've been in it, but yet I feel like this last, post-pandemic, probably the conference looks a lot different. So what are you actually doing in terms of applying labor to get this huge event underway and successful?
Well, I'm happy to break it down for you. And as you might imagine, we have 50 plus employees at JMT Consulting, and Innovate touches everybody. So
Okay.
it is a team effort, especially on site. Everybody has a role. We have a learning lab, like a computer lab. We have consultative sessions that are also available. We have, almost 5 or 6 mini events within the bigger event. You have general session planning, you have sponsorship planning, you have an off-site entertainment planning. So there's people that are involved with every aspect of Innovate. We have a staff meeting. And I wanted to mention that benefits of holding this conference extend to our staff. We don't get to see each other every day in the office. We're mainly a remote-based company. So when we all get together in Nashville or Innovate on an annual basis, huge benefits for our local and our expansive team able to come together. So other ways that we market this conference, we have an event planner. And this event planner, I would highly recommend that you hire that, contract that out, because this expertise, he has expertise with hotels, conference centers, audio visual. And so he's got a reputation in the industry that he can bring to these large hotels and conference centers and help us negotiate. I don't have those kind of skills, so we contract that out. And that's a very valuable part of planning a conference of this size, is to have somebody that's experienced with this contracted food and beverage space, AV. There's just hotel rooms, the numbers. All that is just, while it's fascinating, not my area of expertise, and I'm glad that our event planner is able to pull that off. We also have a marketing agency that does some of the heavy lifting, the printing. Okay. Yes, we still do paper-based printing. We have a booklet. We have signage. There is a lot that our marketing agency does for us. So we work with them all throughout this planning process to ensure that they're involved to help us make this event successful. Now, we do pull this off with a 2-person marketing team at JMT. So a small team. We are highly involved, probably 6 months out of the year on planning Innovate. And so that is a heavy, heavy lift for a small marketing team. But boy, the payoff is amazing when we see people arrive and really appreciate our hard work.
Well, I love that you have reached out and really emphasized the level of contracting expertise. That's fascinating to me. And I would imagine that's why you and your 2-member team can crank this up.
Exactly. We depend on their expertise, and it's so helpful. This timing, we're beginning to get very close. And so we have every other day meetings internally, and we make sure to be in touch with Ramon, who is our event planner. He's fantastic, and he's very helpful in calming some of my anxiety as we get closer and closer to the conference.
And Marty, have those relationships been going on for a while? Because it seems to me there's probably a little bit of stress when you first contract with somebody new, but when they've been able to work with you for a number of these conferences, that everybody knows one another, and there's a cadence that everybody kind of understands and can appreciate. Can you speak to that at all?
I sure can. So our event planner, he has been with us for several years now, and he has a very organized methodology. He does this for several clients, and you wouldn't think that he works for anybody but JMT Consulting in the way that he treats us. He has his spreadsheets, and he has his timing, and he has his demeanor, which is very calm, and he knows from his experience that demeanor is very, very helpful, especially with our small marketing team. There are times when the work gets so frenzied, but Ramon is able to help us realize this will all come off and it'll all be fine. And that's what I value with that external relationship that we've built. There it comes again, relationship building. Mm-hmm. We're able to develop that relationship with a contractor who has been very helpful for us.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think that the other thing that I've noticed is that you've done such a strong job with your branding. And yeah, when I met Ramon, I just assumed he was part of your team.
Yeah.
I had no idea he was a contracted agent.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really smart. And I also can appreciate how he dovetailed into your organization because he has been doing this for a while with you. And so not knowing that, but you can tell he understood, so much more than just showing up for that period of time. We don't have a lot of time left, but I'd really love to kind of get your best tips for conference success, because it's so beautifully done and it's such a specific group of people. I mean, not to beat up on the finance folks, but these are people that generally are a little bit more introverted, might need a little bit more hand holding and trying to get engaged with other folks. It's not like it's an event planners conference, right? Where they're all like, woohoo, let's, and which I've been to and I've seen that. I mean, so it's a nuanced group that needs a little bit of encouragement, right? And
sure. Well, look at it this way. We're giving them permission to talk to one another, to relate with one another. And hey, sometimes that's all it takes with an introverted person, just some permission, right? Just some simple permission, have at it. Let's talk to one another.
Yeah.
As far as those tips go, I mentioned it in some way, having an event planner who understands food and beverage, hotel rooms, conference centers, audio visual, very valuable. He can negotiate, or this person can negotiate on your behalf. And what happens when you start to sell more of those rooms than you have? Well, he can get some alternate hotel rooms for you. That burden is not on me. We can contract that out and feel good that event planner is able to meet our needs behind the scenes. So that's my tip number one, is to hire an experienced event planner. But my tip number two, and this comes personally from me and our marketing department, do the hard work. It is very hard work for a sustained amount of time. And yes, you get some anxiety and you wonder, what the heck am I doing this for? But the answer to that question, what am I doing this for, is answered when you show up on day one and you see the smiles on people's faces. You see this all happening in front of you. Speakers are showing up on time. The general session lights come up and the music come up. The people really appreciate what you've done for them. And so that is valuable to me, to know that the hard work is all worth it. Once I get there on site, it's actually a much more calming experience when I'm on site than it was leading up to the event. I'm much more calm, understanding that this event is going to go off without a hitch because of all the planning that we've done to make Innovate a success.
Interesting. That's a great comment, because I would think it's like the absolute terror of getting down there and being like, oh gosh, but that's cool. That's a really, really good thing to be thinking about. Well, I love the way that you have worked through this. I've been a part of it. I'm very grateful that I'm going to continue to be a part of it, because it's fascinating to see and I'll call it out, unlikely sources coming together. I mean, people in finance don't have these opportunities to get together with people doing their same jobs. It's just something that doesn't exist. And so to have that is really amazing. I sat at a table last year where there was somebody who was from a library system, somebody that was from a healthcare organization, somebody that did, I think, a children's like after school or some children's programming, and then somebody else completely unrelated, and yet they were all finance directors, and boy did they have things to talk about. And it was really cool to see this, right, to see an opportunity present itself, and they were from all parts of the country. So they brought together not only different areas that they served, but different regions of the country that had their own flares. And so really, really interesting. So thank you for coming on and spilling the tea, as we like to say.
You're very welcome, Julia. It was so nice to be your guest today.
Well, it's a lot of fun. Marty Bird, Director of Marketing for JMT Consulting. You can visit jmtconsulting.com and learn about Innovate, see their beautiful marketing, the way they pull through their art direction to really communicate their brand. It's beautifully, beautifully done. But you can see how they've set this up. And Marty, I've got to believe before we let you go that this conference helps solidify JMT's place in the market, right? I mean, it goes back, whether you get somebody that can go to the conference or not, it kind of pulls up that JMT sense of thought leadership.
Yep, that's what we're all about, is to make sure that we have a place in this nonprofit world where we can help nonprofits meet their mission, and Innovate is just one of those ways that we can do that.
I love it. Well, really a lot of fun. I hope if you, any of our viewers or listeners attend Innovate, that you look us up, because I will be there, and you'll get to meet Marty too. Heads up, Marty's really tall. That was the first thing when I met you. I was like, oh my God, you're really tall. You know, when you work with somebody for years in this little box world that we live in, it's always kind of astounding to see somebody IRL. So anyway.
It'll be so good to see you, Julia. See you soon.
It'll be fun. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining another episode of the Nonprofit Show. And thank you to our amazing presenting sponsors. They include Bloomerang, American Nonprofit Academy, Staffing Boutique, our friends over at JMT Consulting, Third Sector Company, Your Part-Time Controller, and Fundraisers Friday. They're the folks that join us day in and day out. As we end each and every episode, we leave with this message, and that is to stay well so you can do well.